Welcome back, everyone, to the desk as we get ready for our second match of the day. It is going to be Hong Kong facing off against Norway. Can't wait for this one. Two personal favorites of mine, having had a chance to speak with them throughout the weekend, or throughout the week here in Shanghai. Guys, let's go ahead and jump right into this here because we got to talk about this Norway roster. Very talented team here.
Definitely, and they have been playing with each other for such a long time already. In Norway, the community is fairly small already, so those players are really familiar with each other's playstyle. 4 of those players have been playing on Oslo Lions, DCOD, Envision, ICO, and IPN. They have been so familiar with each other's playstyle, and also Onigod, who has been like subbing in for them as well at that time. And Chop is the last one in that roster, but they have really good synergy. Those guys know how they play with each other and how to play with each other, and they also were really comfortable going into this against Hong Kong.
Yeah, and they were very talkative too, which was nice. I had a chance to speak with them even before the show, and they're just all really nice guys. DCOD is probably going to get the award for best beard here in Shanghai. So that just going after me and Doa. Doa has an incredible beard. I'm working on something here, and then DCOD just comes out of nowhere.
Has it down already.
It's radiant.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It is. But what I really love the most about this Norwegian roster is that they're so positive. They're just in such a chirpy mood. They're really like full of energy and all just really enjoy playing the game, playing with each other, being here, and that's. I don't know, that makes them incredibly likable to me.
Yeah.
You know, they might have a real contest in Hong Kong as far as the Miss Congeniality award goes at the end of the day, because Hong Kong also has established themselves as this team of really friendly guys. I think they've scrimmed with everyone. They went out of their way to get to know Argentina, some of the other teams. So, for that friendliness title, they might be coming for you.
Well,
that was actually the first
Forget
team.
Norway, okay? Hong Kong.
That was actually one of the first teams we had a chance to speak with. And one player in particular who I'm a big fan of is Hyper. What is it about Hyper in this Hong Kong roster that makes him so special? He's
got this incredible story. Hyper is currently a piano teacher for his team. For his students back home.
But maybe he can be for the team too.
Perhaps if they choose to learn piano, but he's a piano instructor at home, and he was offered to play on a professional team, and he actually had to turn that offer down because it's so complicated. He couldn't give up his amazing life. He didn't want to do that. But this event could be the opportunity where he takes his skill onto the world stage and perhaps gets some international interest in his play, because he said that might be the only way that he decides to pursue a pro career. But he's really grateful for the opportunity to come here to play in a professional situation, and he's got an incredible roster to complement him.
Yeah, he truly does here. Flame, I don't know your familiarity with a lot of these players here. Anything that you're looking for in particular on both sides, really, between Hong Kong and Norway?
Well, so as Monty alluded to before, these teams were seeded by SR, and these are generally pug teams that we're seeing. These are new squads. They're not full teams, at least not on this side of the bracket. And for these two teams, this is actually the 16 seed versus the 17 seed. So if they're actually coming in off the ladder, that's a huge. This will be the battle, I think, of the day in terms of which two teams or which team should have the closest or more scrappy match.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very intense here, and I can't wait to see this. Once again, folks, we just want to let you guys know back at home that this event, working with our partner over at T-Mobile, they bring you the unlimited access to the Overwatch World Cup on America's best unlimited network, and that is for our friends back home in the US of A. There you see the Hong Kong team coming out as well, and on the other side of the stage, the Norwegian team. And again, I'm really excited for both of these squads here, because this could be the closest matchup of the day, the 16 seed and the 17 seed, Zoe.
Yeah, but I mean, from our perspective, we say it's going to be a close one, but the Norwegian guys actually called it like a one-sided one. Like, they were so confident that they're going to take this away from Hong Kong, no problems whatsoever.
I was actually surprised. A lot of the teams we talked to were like, who are you afraid of? You know, there's France, there's China, and they all said Norway. So they're on the radar of these other teams here. Hong Kong prepared for that, prepared for, the Norway defense.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to China before, and the Chinese players also said, we think that Norway is actually going to be second in this group.
I think that Onigod experience is definitely going to shine through. They have a lot of leaders on this team. They definitely have the teamwork, as you alluded to before, just knowing each other's play styles. It's something that's very valuable here. Even as we saw China before, they know how each other play. It's obviously one of the biggest strengths that these teams do have. I think it's definitely Norway's game to win.
All right, guys, well, here we go. It is time for Hong Kong versus Norway. And I know you guys are just excited for this one, as we are. So let's send it over to your casters. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Desk. I am Achilles. Joining me here for the cast is Wolf, coming straight out of South Korea. Had that little pond hop over here to China. So not that big of a journey for us to make it over here, but still very excited to be joining in on the Overwatch World Cup, and we do have a bit of a doozy to start things off with for you and I here today.
Exactly, 16 versus 17, so this is going to be a hyper-competitive match. I know our last match came in with a pretty solid 4-0 for China. They were one of the big favorites going into that group. Most people expected them to take the first seed, so a tough match for Romania. But going into this section of the group, it's 16 versus 17. They're so close in terms of seeding, so this one could go really close, couldn't it being a 2-2 split.
Yeah, obviously all 4 maps going to be played regardless, but this could very well just be a very back and forth one, even on the likes of the maps, you know, a control map, just back and forth, constantly exchanging. Maybe we'll see that third control map coming through. Had a bit of a false start on that one here today, but either way, it should be neck and neck between these two teams. But like they said on the desk, everybody has really been giving a lot of credit over to Norway, a lot of fear going up against them. But let's go ahead and check out our first map of this set. It's going to be King's Row starting things off.
Yeah, a pretty common map, a very standard map. We did start, of course, things off on Hollywood in our previous series, but King's Row, so already starting things off a little bit different. Coming from Korea, where you and I commentate Apex, this map is one of the highest picked hybrid maps. We see it a ton. It's a very common map to see in the pro scene, and I think this map, because of how it works and how basically it complements every team really well, is going to set us on the stage to see which one of these teams has the bigger edge here. This is kind of like the flat stage, the neutral stage, to find out which one of these teams is the stronger one and kind of gauge, because talk about 16 versus 17 in SR ranking, it's always important as the coordination and the experience, I think, that makes Norway the favorites here.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, you know, one of the statistics we do offer up is, you know, the attacker-defender advantage per map, and King's Row is one of those ones that bounces between, you know, 51-49%, if not just the 50-50. So this should be a nice neutral setting for both of these teams to go ahead, get their footing, and try to come out, start things with a win here in Shanghai, and try to make it all the way over to BlizzCon. Every single map just holds such a high amount of importance here, so the win is going to be very sought after.
That's right, every single point does matter. This is not a best of series. This is earn as many points as you can in the 4-match set. So that is going to be how this is played out here as we jump into King's Row. And this is going to be really the first time a lot of these Hong Kong players get to play in a big tournament like this in a very large setting with quite a large crowd, in fact, here in the venue. So there's a lot to prove right now. And, you know, as was mentioned earlier, Hyper, for example, the captain of the team, now having a second opportunity at the pro scene, stepping away from his piano and putting his fingers on the keyboard as we set up for this one.
Well, let's see how quickly he can play piano, just by how quickly he can input on his keyboard. See if he really is a maestro as far as that is concerned. But here we go. The attack is going to start coming out here from the side of Norway, with Hong Kong already operating over onto that defense. Start them pushing in, poking out so far. Nothing too crazy as far as the comps are concerned. It's going to be the 2-2-2, both of these operating with the Soldier and the Tracer, so no Genji thus far.
Yep, nothing just thus far. Already a kill into Envision. That's going to be a great start here for Hong Kong's defense.
Yeah, Mungo up here on this high ground, just finding that biotic grenade straight in onto Envision, so shuts him down, stops, you know, very crucially, that pulse bomb building up, and as I say that, IPN's going to find a kill over onto Hyper, so both of these Tracers will be stopped down. Hyper building up a bit more of that pulse bomb for himself, but now here we go, onto the meat of the point. Comes Norway diving in, only got having to throw down that biotic field, trying to keep himself alive, and Decod goes for it, finds Jazzy, pops him out of the mech, and the Helix Rockets will go ahead and finish him off. A bit of a changing back here coming through as IPN does fall, but Norway very broadly winning out on these fights and maintaining that hold on the point. The cap might just come through right here, and it looks like that's just going to be it, so Hong Kong will concede, and Norway pick up point A very quickly.
And if you watch that fight, you might think, okay, well, Onigod is just the god. He's so strong, he's so powerful, his accuracy is so good, but it's the protection granted by Aiko that actually allows this to happen. His Defense Matrix really good there, and Decod, of course, tried to disrupt the backlines of Hong Kong, so he was able to do so much free damage to carry that fight.
Very nice stuff here from Norway. We'll see how they're going to handle the street space as they get ready to push through. Hong Kong still playing a bit further forward, looking for those flanking opportunities with the like of Hyper and the Soldier 76 here, but now Decod going very far forward, trying to build up for that Primal Rage, just zapping away. No real kill threat coming through from him yet. And now he's got to be a bit careful as that nano boost does come down here onto Pandaren, but he takes so much damage, has to leap back around the corner to keep himself alive. In the meantime, Norway going to be pushing back forward. Have that Transcendence coming through from IPN. They will find Pandaren in the end as the cart just keeps moving along steadily, slowly, but steady for the side of Norway as they keep advancing over to point B. Pop out's going to come through on to Jazzy. Does throw down the self-destruct, not going to find anything, and he's going to die for that. So Hong Kong really just kind of getting swept under the rug by Norway right now.
Yeah.
Not really being impeded at all on this push.
Not even close. The staggered respawn's going to be a problem here. And it looked like the idea for Hong Kong for that defense was to have Hyper drop down with the pulse bomb from the high ground there. Tried to build up, didn't have it in time. The Transcendent was so well played.
IPN perfectly just knew that Hyper was coming around that flank, maybe even looking for the pulse bomb there. Takes him down. That's point B gained here for Norway. Just under 6 minutes on the clock to make their way to the Foundry stage here. So plenty of time to work with. Nice little opening there does come through as the Helix rockets connect onto Onigod. So that will help them a little bit, but that's about the slightest reprieve that Hong Kong has gotten so far.
We're looking to see if Hyper can finally find a pulse bomb stick here. One does fail against him, but he's going to look to find this in the back. This has kind of been the idea for Hyper, is to try to find that backline pick. Not a whole lot of harassment.
You can see he's just not really in a great position to get those flanking opportunities. He has to keep kiting back, and now the self-destruct does find Mango. Get the pop-up onto Jazzy, and yet again, he is going to fall. The tanky front line here from Hong Kong just being shattered. Discord Orb in onto Pandaren, has to stay back, has to drop the bubble. Can't leap in now comfortably. IPN does get forced out on the Transcendence as the pulse bomb comes through from Hyper, but the payload just meters in front of this point C, and with that Primal Rage, Decod goes forward, finishes off Mango. Pandaren has fallen off the map, moving desperately, trying to find something with that Nano Visor. Will get the pop out, will finish off IPN, but he is still losing team members around him. Hyper going down as Onigod answers with his own, firing away shot after shot, rolling into the station. Just 1.47 meters now is that payload for Norway. Nearly have that completion, just need to get rid of these few members, and with that pulse bomb helping take down the Winston, they might just have it. Mix desperately trying to keep this one in contention, and they will be able to do so for now. So it seems like Hong Kong might just be able to hold on for a little bit longer, but there's still over 4 minutes on the clock here for Norway.
Yeah, still trying to hold on to this one. It's actually crazy. Aiko is able to remech throughout this. Here comes the self-destruct down. Vision will dodge it. And you can see Envision, gets taken out. Mango gets the kill there. This actually may help them grab the hold here as Jazzy remains on the point.
But it's just an all-out brawl because Norway just keeps throwing their bodies back in onto the payload, trying to keep this one pushing in. Now the rejoin coming through from Decod, jumping forward. They find Pandaren to start off the fight. Just need Jazzy, and that's going to be the entire tank line taken down. Now the Genji, having fallen, self-destruct, though not going to find any picks, but does help zone people back. We'll get the re-entry in onto the back, but now the sound barrier is in here for Norway. They are all in on this push. They want to finish it off with a massive time bank for themselves. Pandaren up into the air, popping the Primal Rage, and the Transcendence coming through. So Hong Kong throwing out everything that they possibly have to try to stay into this one, but Jazzy will still get taken down by the pulse bomb, and Onigod is firing away with yet another tag visor. Finds the Genji, just chipping them away, and that will finally be it. They free up enough space to get that last meter and a half in, and it's 3:27 on the time bank here for Norway.
And you got to give props to Hong Kong for how long they were able to hold that off. They, with the staggered respawn, still bought so much time there, but it was the consistent kills coming in that closed it out for Norway. But I have to give big credit to Decod. It almost felt like he was the personal bodyguard of Onigod in all those fights, and I have the liberty of being able to watch his first-person view here, so I was watching how he was positioning, how he wants to protect Onigod, and basically he only dove in after they got a pick, sometimes on the Diva there, allowing him to come in with more protection from his own team to go in and get those kills, and Onigod being the big damage dealer here. Basically what happened, no one could take him out. He just kept firing, getting multiple attack fires off. The Transcendence build-up's much faster here for Norway as well. And you do have to remember a lot of what Hyper was trying to do on that Tracer. He held onto his pulse bombs really long. He was always looking for the big money hit on the back line, on the squishies, but just couldn't find the supports, couldn't find that pulse bomb he was looking for. So it felt like he was really trying to force it to happen, but just didn't find that lineup.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the tooltips in the game. Not for Tracer, but I believe for Ferris. Is, don't try to hold on for the barrage to find the big one. Just use it, build up another one very quickly. But that's one of the things that, a lot of players do suffer from. They want to have that big bang hit. With the pulse bomb, try to get the 2 to 3K like we see from Effect back over in Apex for Envious when he had those really star-studded performances on the Tracer. But he holds onto it a bit too much, can't find those flanking opportunities, just has to kite back with the rest of his team, and that's not the position that you need to be in as a Tracer to excel. So Norway with a very strong first attack, 3:27 on the clock. Hong Kong now swapping over to the assault side. We'll see what sort of work they can get done. Norway still going to be operating with the same squad here, the 2-2-2. I go back over onto that D.Va. Flash Lazaria for a second, but, you know, better than that. It's still going to be the D.Va coming through. She's just way too important.
And let's see if Hyper is going to stick with this Widowmaker for very long. We do see the sound arrow come out first here to get the information as to where everyone is positioned.
I'm trying to spot out a little bit.
Yeah, not good. Just getting some extra vision. You're not going to be trying to do any fancy Widow plays. Not pulling a Taimo here or anything like that. Just going to come out. It's Hyper switching back to the Soldier now here on the high ground.
I mean, interestingly enough, they're going to be running the Soldier with the Genji rather than having a Tracer, which has been, you know, one of those staple parts of compositions in the current meta at the moment. So we'll be trying to change things up here from Hong Kong. We'll see how long this is going to last, if they're going to be able to get that first cap, or if they do need to swap Hyper back over. But for now, Onigod will get taken down. Mango finds that opening, and is that going to be enough for them to get onto the point is the question. Cap starts to come through, does get halted out as they back out. And Vision does take down that enemy Zenyatta. Hyper firing away, trying to get in onto Dekod, and with the help of the Genji, they will be able to take him down. And Vision forced out. Retreats back over to the hotel, gets up, picks up that health pack, and will be rejoining the fight. 70% here for that pulse bomb. Could be a game breaker for Norway if he can find some key targets to place that one on. But for now, he doesn't even need it. Just dashes forward and finishes off Mandarin.
And when you look at what Hyper's able to do compared to Onigod, it's just no comparison. Onigod's been able to do so much more, and that's part of it because Dekod has been babysitting him, forcing him back. When you see the first person views, you can see he's forced back, has to retreat. The defense matrix goes off, he comes back in. That's when you see Dekod come in, deny him with the barrier. It's just been so frustrating for Hyper all game long. He does have the attack visor now. If he can get into a high ground position, maybe he can start to get some picks here. But that's the only ult they've got. Dragon Blade about to be ready, but no support ultimate with it.
But is that going to be enough? Because right now they've still just been pretty stalemated to try to get on to this point. See them just trying to poke out, but getting the kills on the Norway range is just going to be so difficult with Mix going down there. Mango falling off screen as IPN wins out on that Zenyatta duel. No supports available now for Hong Kong. They're going to have to wait to regroup, and that just buys more time off the time bank. They do go forward though. However, find Trope and IPN, so these are going to be the counter openings. But Norway does fire back. Hyper going down. Jazzy popped out of the mech, and Pandarin falling as well. They will finish off that baby D.Va for the maximum stagger.
Okay, so Lewis still has the Dragon Blade available here. They have the support ultimates, but here comes the self-destruct. Taken out of the mech, actually, as Aiko, as he dropped it down here. This is a huge opportunity, but here comes the Transcendence.
Yeah, double Transcendence coming through from both the Zenyatas as everybody tries to posture it onto the point. Sound barrier from both teams as well. So all of them just dumping out every support ultimate they could possibly find. And finally, it will be that first hit coming through for Hong Kong. Wait, can they stick in and get the actual cap with those picks coming through? It seems like the answer should be yes, but there's still plenty of time that can be bought by Dekod. Gonna go low, has a primal rage available. Does he want to commit it to this fight? The answer is going to be yes. Pops that one out, has the Discord Orb, so we'll be taking quite a bit of damage as that second tick comes through onto the point here for Hong Kong, but the cap still being delayed further and further as we are encroaching on a minute remaining.
Yeah, now everyone's respawned back in Vision very low. We'll have to recall here, but they do get everyone back. Dekod buying so much time here, and this may still be the hold. Incredible time buying by Dekod here from Norway.
Both Winston's going down, Mix is going to fall as well, but it's just going to be an exchange of the supports as IPN falls. Trope falling now as well, so Hong Kong, do they finally have the upper hand? And Vision is looking to shut that out, has to be forced into the recall to keep himself alive. Doesn't have any healers available for him. He's poking in, trying to finish off Mango, and he gets him, just bending the bullet seemingly around Pandarin, takes him out, and yet again Hong Kong will be held at bay. Norway able to regroup, 2 ticks accrued, but just 40 seconds remaining in Hong Kong, have to go all the way to point C.
I can't even believe that was able to occur. What we saw from Dekod there, he bought so much time. No one got onto the point when he stepped off. It bought enough time for the rest of the team to come back. Aiko buying so much time as well. Really good coordination here. And I mean, this is just so little time left now for Hong Kong to work with. They have the Dragon Blade, they're gonna have Transcendence. Here we go, it's gonna be both of them.
Yeah, popping this one out, just trying to withstand that Dragon Blade. It looks like they will be able to do so. In the meantime, Onigod on the high ground yet again, has attack visor out, takes down Hyper. Everybody else just bending back around the statue, but there's no time left on the clock. 5 seconds, they have to pile into this one. And Vision throwing down the pulse bomb, not gonna find any kills, but they're still held at bay. Knocks Jazzy out of the mech. In hindsight, does find that, but now it's all or nothing here for Hong Kong to win this first map. Diving in, they lose to Genji. Trope his fall. They get rid of IPN. Could this be the opening? No supports available for the side of Norway, but they still need so much more. Aiko falling, they lose out onto Mango. Mix going down as well. Norway, can they do this? They have to get through the primal Winston Pandarin as they just jump around. Overtime still ticking in the cap, getting ready to come through as Pandarin desperately tries to make this happen for his team, but Dekod does get that sound barrier. He is still alive and he is still killing Genjis.
We'll finally get pushed away here though. Jazzy getting up the picks here. Decod's still alive. That's so important. He's the best one to buy time.
That's going to be the last second contest coming through. Jazzy knocked out of the mech yet again as Norway wants to finish this one off. Pandaren going down. Jazzy killed in the Baby Demon form in the pulse bomb. Connects in onto Hyper. And it looks like Norway will have done it. The full hold coming through onto point A after pushing all the way to C. We talked about how scrappy this series could very well be, and I think that we found that it's going to be very scrappy indeed. Kings Row, so much back and forth there.
Yeah, and what we saw there was just excellent staggering there of the ultimates to actually buy time. The remeching coming out from Ico, the really amazing Primal Rages. The fact that Decod was able to stay alive so many times got him those extra Primal Rages, and it looked like several times there Hong Kong had it, but they just couldn't actually hold on. As we see Envision's Tracer here going to be the play of the game to seal things out on their attack, but what a hold there. And we had questions going into this one, which one of these very close seeds was going to be on top. And I wouldn't say this was a dominant performance by Norway by any means, but one thing you could definitely take away is when it comes to buying time on overtime, holding on to those points, certainly one of their strengths.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't like the the level of performance that we just saw from China in our last match, but this was still Norway, inching themselves out ahead, being able to go all the way to point C, and then getting the full hold definitely does, there is credit due to them, but it was back and forth. It was very hard fought. You could tell that, it was a bit strained to be able to not only complete that point C push, but also to get that full hold. So these guys, despite that scoreline, still are looking rather close together as far as, this matchup goes. And so this could be a very interesting and a very long series.
And it goes, when you think about how the next set is going to play out as we go into control, it's going to be very important, I feel like, for the first cap to go over to Hong Kong, because if you give the ultimate advantage over to Norway, if they get that first capture, with how well they've been able to hold on to these points, sometimes even without ultimates, you can imagine if they get the first cap, build that close to 99, get the 6 ultimate advantage from that, get the ult economy advantage, it's going to be very difficult for Hong Kong to retake, because we saw some good plays by them, some setups to try to stop the push on attack on Kings Row, but they just couldn't simply even grab the payload there. So yeah. Norway having some really good defensive tactics there, especially Decod and Ico. So I feel like when you go to control, the big thing to look for is Hong Kong. How are they going to grab that first point? Because that's going to be so important.
Yeah, and obviously going to be a whole other animal. The compositions can change up wildly when it comes down to control as opposed to the hybrids. So maybe we'll see something a bit new coming out. They were trying to do the Genji with the soldier to start things off there. I think the Tracer is just a must-have right now in the current in the current meta.
Sure.
So I expect to see that from the get-go. But first off, we do have to find out what our second map is going to be. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what Hong Kong
where
has
are we going?
selected. It's going to be Lijiang Tower.
All right, so sticking with the China favorite here in Lijiang. So this map obviously is a control map, so explain for some of the newer viewers, you grab control of the point, but once you lock it in, percentage starts ticking up, and that goes up to 100. To secure the map, you get 100%. I know this sounds like obvious to anyone who's watched Overwatch Pro play, but what's important about this is that because when you have control of the point, in order to retake it, you have to have full control. It cannot be contested. And as we saw, that's how overtime works. That same mechanic we saw on Kings Row, how Norway was able to buy time there, build the extra ultimates. It's even easier on a map where you have shorter respawns, and that's the whole point of the map here on control. So that gives me some worries for Hong Kong going into this one. I think grabbing that first point is going to be step number one, and that, again, sounds obvious, but if they lose that, I think things could snowball away from them, Achilleos.
Yeah, defender's advantage, certainly something that Hong Kong would like to have for themselves. Unfortunately, didn't work out so well on Kings Row, but we'll see how they manage now that we move over to Lijiang Tower. So, want to put a point on the board. Again, not a best of series, 4 maps played no matter what, but every single one of them accruing a point, and you want the most so you can move out of that group stage into the playoffs and have the best possible chance of making it to BlizzCon, because that is the end game for everybody here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we head to this one, we'll take a closer look at the compositions here to see what these two teams are running, as Envision on the Tracer definitely making a bigger impact than Hyper, and playing the Soldier definitely was, you could see the idea in theory, but just doesn't allow the same sort of mobility, and that ended up being a problem. So as we go into this one, we'll see what they're running. Mango actually on the Sombra here, so he got a few picks onto Envision himself there on the support. Now he's playing more of the hyper DPS here. We'll see if he can make that happen yet again.
Okay, well that just puts that much more emphasis on Mix. Has to have his positioning very well for that Lucio, but Mango is already going to get taken down. The fight coming through from Envision around the side over onto that walkway does finish him off. So first point now going to be unlocked. Hong Kong do have the fast strike. They're already onto it at the moment, but Norway, they're going to be looking to change that one around as they dive in onto that high ground, just trying to disrupt everybody. And now that Hong Kong is contained outside, that will just allow for the remaining members of Norway to then have those leaps to get onto the high ground to go ahead and finish off that cap. So we'll start ticking up.
Yeah, and this is that first cap I'm talking about. Hyper will just get killed here as they look for the resets, but Norway now has that ult advantage. They have that ticking control meter, and Hong Kong's would have to retake this, a very difficult ask, but they do have the tool of the EMP. Builds very quickly, and Mango is going to have that soon. Wants to make sure he doesn't get picked off again. Would be ready for sure if he had not been killed by Envision earlier.
Oh, that's going to be the Tracer going down. IPN yet again finding another kill with the Zenyatta has been deadly accurate with his orbs tossing those ones out. Mango has that EMP ready to go, but does he want to dive in? Doesn't actually get the opportunity, just gets taken down as Envision finds a double kill. Pulse bomb in onto Mix, finishing him off. We'll go ahead, get the 3K as Pandaren goes down as well, and Norway shoving them all the way back to that initial choke point by this spawn, and they'll just be holding firm.
And this is okay that the EMP didn't go off, because now they're going to have a few more ults to use with it, notably that tac visor, but it's going to be all about IPN's transcendence. He can get it off before the EMP goes down. That is going to be huge. Here comes Mango around from the back. Will they react to this? IPN drops the
Transcendence comes through perfectly timed by IPN. Picks it up, and Mango's going to be the first one to fall as the fight breaks out. Onigon with his own tac visor firing away, but Jazzy does have the defense matrix, but not well enough in front of Hyper to keep him alive. Will go down, and Norway is just going to scoop up everybody and throw them into the bin. Fantastic shutdown, fantastic reaction.
And that's what you got to do as IPN here. You have to react. You have to see that Sombra running at you with the translocator. You have to have that ability to know this is when the EMP is coming and drop that out first to completely nullify the effects there with your extra healing. Very well timed. And they didn't use much else. Trope still has the sound barrier. Vision and Aiko have their ultimates ready here.
Yeah, they nearly have a self-destruct on the way as well here for Aiko. So things looking really good for Norway as they tick up past 90% of the moment. Hong Kong likely going to have to dump everything in just to get this cap and Vision. Not going to be finding the stick there with that pulse bomb, so won't find any entry frags for his squad yet. But now the sound barrier is coming down as they try to go ahead and keep this one contested. Nearly the cap there for Hong Kong. Will now be over into overtime as Norway tries to maintain control. A self-destruct thrown out here by Jazzy, just trying to buy a bit of zone for his squad, but actually comes up with a lot more than that. Finds the kill in onto Trobe, but they get answered back for as Mango and Hyper both go down, and Vision yet again operating on these flank lines. Nearly has another pulse bomb to offer up, perhaps to take down Pandaren, because he doesn't have
There's the recap.
Primal range, and the recap does come through. Now they have to tag in onto this one. We'll see if Pandaren can find his way in, but
Can't get in there.
Just not going to happen.
All right, so this is already dominance starting to show. We knew what was likely to occur on Control after we saw the defense of Norway there on King's Row. They got the full hold, and when they took the first point here, sure, there was a brief moment of capture on the side of Hong Kong here, but they couldn't close it out, and the ultimate usage there, very well timed. I feel like the big play, the play of the game for that one was definitely IPN, dropping the Transcendence down, nullifying the real only EMP we ever saw, and I worry now for Hong Kong as they're flexing a lot here. They're sending their Genji player onto the Tracer, their Tracer player onto the Soldier, so not having real complete roles here, whereas Norway is basically keeping it more of the same from map to map.
Well, you saw there in the audience, Onigon having a fan here in Shanghai. That's a nice way to go ahead, start things off with a win for the fans.
That's right, this is the World Cup, and every nation has fans worldwide as we head into this one. Going to be no Sombra this time on Mango, going to be back onto the Soldier.
Yeah, but it's going to be that Genji Soldier here that they're trying to operate on yet again, and Mix is going to be the first one that loses out as that mech does go away from him, builds up very rapidly for another one that hasn't gotten taken out of that Baby Diva form yet. Aiko going to get popped out as well as we wait for the point to unlock. So very scrappy, everybody's charging in for each other's bridges.
Now, Mu actually finding a lot of percentage here. No one harassing him, so he's just building up towards that Dragon Blade. We'll have the double support ultimates to pair with that very soon.
The initial cap nearly coming through as Envision already has the pulse pump, throws it out, finds Pandaren, takes him down, and it's going to be Mango falling as well. Mix going to go down, and it seems like Norway will yet again be getting this, the first cap coming through. We'll see how long they can hold on to it this time. It was only one flip for Hong Kong.
And it wasn't a crazy disparity of ult economy here. There are going to be several ults, including that sound barrier for Mu to try to use the Dragon Blade here. Hyper, unfortunately, halfway towards his Primal Rage as he's flexing again. Now onto the Winston, it's Pandaren onto the Lucio. And this can sometimes be a double sword. You can show the flexibility of this composition, the six-man roster, but maybe too many heroes for too many players.
All right, well, it's going to be a very aggressive play coming through as Norway just pushes through the Transcendence out from IPN as they try to shove them all the way back to just keeping them contained in the side rooms, and Onigod has that attack visor firing away, just straight out, no one there to block him, but will get cut down in the end. As Genji has the Dragon Blade ready to go, so just chops him up.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big flip here for Hong Kong, perhaps. Haven't gotten the point yet, as D-God will fall in the end. They will get this one, and considerably earlier than on Control Center, 41%, all that was accrued here for Norway before that flip comes through. So maybe a bit too aggressive from Norway on that play.
Onigod definitely, using that attack visor, they're expecting the Transcendence would be enough, but this is a huge flip because they only had to use really the Dragon Blade and the support ultimates to make it happen. Hyper soon to have that Primal Rage, so they can hold on to this one for a while, almost nearly having an edge in ult economy here, so Norway using a lot of resources. But look at how quickly IPN's been able to build up that Transcendence, and they're going to use the sound barrier to try to contest now, moving in.
Yeah, go ahead, throw that one out, but Onigod's been booped off the map by Panda, and so just comes up with that kill, so fantastic way to start things off here for Hong Kong as they try to maintain this control over the point, but Jazzy is just going to get cleaned up in Norway yet again. Will still just, despite being first blooded by Hong Kong on that push, will still be able to get in here and possibly come up with this retake. And
it was really off the back of the sound barrier. It was really well timed here. They used it with the amp it up for the speed boost, so a really hyper aggressive attack coming in, catching Hong Kong off guard, and now they have self-destruct. They're going to use it aggressively here over the wall.
It's throwing it straight in towards the spawn. Not going to find anybody, but it certainly does buy them a little bit more time, keeping them away from
aggressive, though.
The bridge. But yeah, just throwing that one, Ico. You never know. Maybe you get the 5K. Maybe you just go ahead and get a team kill on it. So
sure, that was pretty aggressive, but they do hold on to the Transcendence here now. So using the support ultimates as their main ones to win these fights.
But they have to get back in. They have to get this retake. Pulse Block does come through, connects in onto Hyper, and he's going to be taken down first and foremost here on the point. Didn't have that Primal Rage available, nowhere near it, in fact. And out Norway still looking to hold firmly as that Transcendence comes out from the side of IPN, just keeping everybody topped off. D-God with that Primal Rage, keeping himself alive as well. And now Attack Visor out from Mango, but he's falling dangerously low, and everybody just pours back in into the room with him to go ahead and finish him off. He goes down, and now seems like it's just going to be yet another regroup coming through here from Hong Kong, but the staggers are going to be there on the respawns. It's 95% for Norway. They have to get in onto the point.
Yeah, they do. Okay, Hong Kong coming in now. Gonna have to contest this.
But already Mix has been popped out, and Attack Visor here, just go ahead and take out anybody that pushes forward. There's no D.Va Defense Matrix to eat up this soldier damage, so Onigod just going to be firing away, coming up with multiple kills, finishes off the Genji right at the end.
Sound barrier
there you go. Norway will just clean house, and they will go ahead and take Lijiang Tower with a 2-0.
Yeah, pretty dominant performance here by Norway, and we knew Control was going to be the struggle for Hong Kong after watching that last fight. Well, watch this Genji play of the game. This is the first take here after the first map. They did cap these support ultimates. Actually, not even having them in this fight. This will be a different one. But anyways, gets them there on the choke point. Ends up winning that one. But wasn't enough to win the map here for for Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And realistically, when you look at how those fights are going, it's the sound barrier that's used aggressively, and it's the Transcendence that's used defensively. The support ultimates winning, at least Lijiang here for Norway. They use their time-buying abilities with the Primal Rage, with the tanks, the protection of Onigod on King's Row, but a totally different approach going into the Control map. And the support ultimates were there to catch the attacks every time. It was a very defensive approach. It was kind of a hold on, let's be conservative with our ults, and Hong Kong just didn't have the answer.
I mean, one of the most intriguing things I think about Hong Kong here is that they're swapping up the roles. They have players moving off of the Lucio over onto the D.Va, vice versa. So it seems like they're just kind of desperately trying to scramble around their members. Okay, you go DPS this time, I'll heal, or vice versa. And it just did not work out. The 2-0 there for Norway. Really good stuff coming through there. But Norway leading here with a 2-0. See if they can close this out with a 4-0. As we go ahead, throw over to a commercial. When we come back, we'll have the desk go ahead and break down those first two maps.
The 2017 Overwatch World Cup is brought to you by Omen by HP, T-Mobile, Union Pay, and Blizzard Entertainment.
That grows must also wither and die. What dies and rots will then nourish the living. This is the great cycle of being, and we, the priests of Rathma, use our dark art to protect it. Though most do not understand us, we go where we are needed. My master has learned that a star fell in the west, drawing the dead from their graves. He commands me to journey to Tristram and return them to their rest. For if the cycle is not upheld, it would mean the end of all things.
Welcome back, everyone, to the desk here as we are in halftime for Hong Kong versus Norway, and Norway has come to play, folks. This team looks incredible, Zoe.
You know, my biggest issue right now is I would like to highlight one player, but I just have to highlight the whole team.
Yeah, how are you gonna pick?
The reason why they played so dominant on that first map was just the way they played together. Yeah, Onigot got all those pickups on the soldier on attack, but he only managed to do that because Aiko gave him so much space with the D.Va, and the team worked so well around him that they just were able to like sweep in such a dominant fashion through their attack round. And I mean, on the defense, them holds. That was unreal. Like that, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, honestly, and here's the thing. D-Cop may have an incredible beard, but he's also a great Winston as well.
It all
just
comes together.
The disengages that I saw from him at the appropriate times, the way that he read those plays out. I mean, that stall, some could say it looked a little staggered, Flame, like on both ends. Like, you know, like Norway couldn't quite close it out, but I think, you know, Hong Kong gave a bit more that Norway was expecting. How do you feel about that last play there at Kings Row?
Norway just knew what to do. You know, they had a plan. Their players all played incredibly. I don't think I was expecting Envision to be so great. He kind of slipped under the radar, I think, coming into this tournament, at least in my perspective. But him, again, like Decog getting in and out of fights really well. Envision just never dying. He was really uncontested on that Tracer, and it just made this really unstoppable force that was Norway. I think the only times that they even looked vulnerable was when they were kind of flexing a bit.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at some of the highlights there in just a little bit of Kings Row. Rachel, though, you're out there cheering on Hong Kong, and it's tough
true.
for them.
I made this choice, and I have to stay with it. You know, but I would make it again because these guys, you know, what sucked me in was their personality, and this is a team that had to come together based on personality because they don't have the experience together that Norway did. Norway has history. They have time where they played. They sort of knew this team before they even came into the World Cup, but Hong Kong just got put together. So, you know, they really had to rally around Hyper. He's the oldest player. He's kind of taken on the role as leader, and when we sat down with him, he described these roles and these heroes that each of his teammates would be playing. Then we entered that first map, and it was all gone. Everything was different. Hyper said he was going to be on Winston. He was on 76. Jazzy, I thought we was going to be a support flex, and ended up on D.Va. And so it didn't even seem that reactive, their switching. It was all the roles they told us they were going to play when we got in the Lijiang Tower. Yeah, and I think Hyper, correct me if I'm wrong, was playing Tracer a couple times. I think he was on a flank. He was on a hard flank in Kings Row, and then IPN just came out of nowhere and pop, just one-shot him. And that's actually something
that Average Jonas told me about as well. He said, look out for IPM because he will track those tracers, one-shot them, and they will become nullified. And in a meta that is very tracer heavy, that is super valuable. And I look at a guy like IPN and think, where has this man been all my life? Because he's
Why is he never on your
clearly a better Zen than Doa. Clearly a better Zen than Doa. So I guess I want to get your thoughts on IPN and also as we go into the next map here, Li Zhang.
Well, he had one of the better plays I think we saw on that last stage where the EMP came in. He had the transcendence before the EMP, which is something that should really never happen. I think is more of a testament to, as Rachel alluded to, Hong Kong maybe trying things that they're not super used to, because he did preemptively trans an EMP and it wound up just winning them that fight on Control Center. It's something that's not very common and it's pretty hard to do because you need to react immediately and you have to make that decision immediately. So I do think that he's definitely also playing up to that caliber that the rest of the team is playing. This team looks very scary right now. I think if you're anybody watching this match at this group stage, that this might be the team to beat.
I actually think if you're anyone watching the World Cup right now, if you're any of the competitors in the World Cup, you're pleasantly surprised with Norway because of how they have performed here. I know that we all thought about this team performing and being a good squad. I just didn't think they'd be this darn good, Zoe.
No, I really didn't, because I mean, I knew that the individual players, they are really good. I knew that 4 of the guys, or even almost 5 of the guys, have been playing with each other on Oslo Lions and other teams, and they are familiar with each other. However, they did also say that we didn't get much time to scrim, because prior to the World Cup, they all were very involved with contenders, so they were heavily focused on that, and they didn't get that many scrims in. And when they came here, they also, I don't think they got an insane amount of scrims, because they, like, some of them dealt with jet lag and everything. So they were confident, but still not as confident as what we're seeing in game right now. So I'm more than just pleasantly surprised. I also, on Li Zhang specifically, I love the way they use the ults from the supports. Like, it just made and break the game for their opponents. It was just beautiful.
Very impressive.
You could see the confidence coming through.
Yeah.
They felt like you could tell towards the second map that they were kind of like, this is our match, we can't lose this. And then they kind of got a little sloppy, but it was more just, we're so confident that we can make these mistakes and we're not afraid to make these mistakes because we know we're going to beat Hong Kong. And it's good to watch, and I think it's definitely good for their morale. I think Hong Kong feels a little lost right now, but there's still 2 more maps.
Well, and speaking of, what can Hong Kong do to turn this around, Rach?
Well, so I brought up scrims, and Hong Kong made the mistake of, here, am I saying that? Of coming here and scrimming with everybody. They really, they met every team.
Nice.
They shook everyone's hand.
Nice.
They scrimmed every team they could, and perhaps they gave too much away because they did seem a little limited in the strategies that they brought to the table. And I'm concerned that now, in their effort to change things up, they might be going beyond their abilities.
It's going to be very tough, but Hong Kong, they certainly have the ability. Let's see if it will happen, folks. When we come back, though, we're going to have the continuation of this match between Hong Kong and Norway. Will Norway get the 4-0, or can Hong Kong get a game in their buckle? We'll find out after this. Don't go anywhere. It's the 2017 Overwatch World Cup.
不過我哋組成嘅隊伍個時間其實唔耐，得好短時間訓練。但係我唔理佢哋優點係咩，抑或缺點係咩，我哋都要將佢哋一一打低，仲會將我哋所擁有嘅技能全部發揮出嚟。
I think the weakest part is their mechanical skill, because every single player on our team is so much better than their team. Our DPSs, they can out-aim the enemy DPS. Our main tank has better positioning, and our healers are good at staying together and just defending each other.
have it Oni got?
I'll say that.
What was that?
Oni don't got.
Oh, man. All right. Well, there you have the Hong Kong team as they get ready to go here. They have a tall order in front of them with this Norway roster, Rachel.
Hey, they're a good-looking team, though. They got everything going for them in life. I mean,
Quite dapper.
They're friendly. You know, they came here to fight, and they're still smiling. You know, they're obviously enjoying themselves. I mean, Jazzy, youngest player on the team, bringing out a lot of variety here. Every one of them using it as a bit of a showcase, I think, for the rest of the world.
Well,
and he's playing with the camera. Look at that.
Hey.
hit him with a wink, you know?
What up, Mitch?
That little charm.
He's so
See
charming.
him just like, you know, just combing his
That's
chin
a
a little bit.
Lucio player right
Yeah,
there.
right.
He gained a fan.
Yeah. So now Norway on the other side of this screen here, or on this stage here, on your screen now. There's IPN. If you want to get a look at the man, the myth, the legend, because we all know how Decon looks. You know, the legendary beard in the back there. This team, I mean, wow.
You know what I'm still wanting to see?
What?
I mean, I've been following some of those players quite a lot actually, and look at that beer stroke. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
I love the camera. Look at that. No, so what I really want to see is some of those cheeky Lucio plays Trump usually has, because I've seen like so many cheeky boops on him, like pushing people off the mat and stuff like that. They usually have a fun way, a cheeky way of playing, which I haven't seen yet.
Okay.
But maybe after being 2 maps up, they'll play around a little bit more.
One thing we know, it's
maybe.
going to be cheeky.
Yeah,
We're
gonna be cheeky.
It's going to be cheeky. Flame, what are you looking for the Hong Kong team to bounce back? What do they need to do?
They need to figure out who's playing what. I think that's probably their first obstacle. They also need to shut down Envision. Envision's having an incredible series. They need to figure out how to get rid of him and do that to the best of their abilities.
All right, guys. Well, there's that beautiful beard from Decon. Let's go ahead and send it over to the casters. Take us through the action one more time for the second half.
Thank you very much. And while Decon has a pretty great beard, so does Wolf over here at the caster booth. So you guys leaving him out of this one, talking about Doa's beard.
Decon's beard, Golden Blaze looking at his own facial hair. No one talks about my beard. I find it offensive.
It's all right. I got your back. I appreciate your beard, and I'm glad that you let me pet it. But now we're halfway through this set. Norway currently leading 2-0 over Hong Kong. And it's time for them to answer back, because again, every single one of these maps matters so much. Already the 2-0 coming through for these guys. And it seems like with the changes, the very erratic changes that are coming through for Hong Kong, swapping people like Mix off of the Lucio onto the Diva, Hyper, you know, it's kind of just shifting around. Maybe they're not going to be able to pick up a map here.
Sure,
this is supposed to be one of our closer sets.
It was definitely supposed to be, but you could tell the coordination. This team looks better practiced, even though they said they didn't get to scrim that much going into this series, going to this group. They didn't scrim as much as they would have liked to.
Yeah.
They looked to be better coordinated, staying together. The staggering that we saw to buy time on King's Row was perhaps the most impressive of this. So we're going to take a look at where we're going for maps, and I have to agree with what Monty said earlier. You probably want to take us to Horizon, and that's where we are going. When you're the underdog in a series like this, like Hong Kong is, you want to bring the surprise factor in, and you and I have actually spent a lot of time talking to Norway going into this group stage. I asked them how confident they are on this map, because really, it's one of the first tournaments that will play the map competitively offline, and they just felt like, okay, we've played on it a bit, but we're still not very comfortable here, so Hong Kong, we'll see what they can do as they bring us to this one. Didn't work out for Romania, but you have to think at least they've got something up their sleeve here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, just not that much exposure as far as what we've had here for Horizon in professional play, debuting in actually the Apex Challengers by the Rocks. Orca's playing Horizon for the first time professionally. But now it seems like it's going to be the popular pick coming in to the World Cup. So
100% pick rate so far.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100%. Everybody's going to pick this all the time.
All right.
Who's going to win is the bigger question, because Hong Kong, they have a lot to prove coming out for those first 2 games, because wasn't looking so hot.
Winston is missing.
I wonder why.
I wonder where he went.
Who's Azzarelli?
I don't know.
Where's he
I
at?
have a feeling it might be Italian. I just had this weird hunch.
Well,
what about Nevsky? He's still there. They're all just here permanently. Winston was the only one who got away.
Maybe they're just like inside those suits, but I don't know, like mummified inside of them or something?
I hope not. Maybe it's just a model.
That would make this map a bit
darker than before.
Yeah.
Well, we've got space suits that all look identical, but you could tell clearly if they're from around the world by the names listed above them.
They just all happen to have the same exact body type and frame.
Maybe they're from the future. Maybe they're from future World Cups of the Overwatch, you know, years and years later. Who knows?
Perhaps.
Well,
all
it looks
right.
like we're starting this map off here finally. And remember, capturing point A seems to be the easy part here. And how much time you gain from that is going to be a really big tool, a really big factor for that team that does have attack.
Yep. Well, so far, we'll just be starting things off here.
Oh, already mixed with the Torbjorn.
Yeah, Norway going to be looking to push into this one. And Mix does have that Torbjorn ready to go hyper over onto this Orisa. So yet again, going to be trying some things that are a bit different.
Yeah, we've seen Reaper and has been very popular on this map because of the narrow choke points and very good protection here onto the turret. We'll see how Norway decides to break this. Eco is going to look for the wraparound here. Unfortunately, able to find nothing. Obviously, the first part of dealing with this is scouting it out. They know what to do now that they've seen it.
Well, Mango as well, getting poked down here, is operating over onto that Reaper, much like we saw on Dead from China earlier on. Mix gonna get left on, almost goes down, but all of a sudden the kills just explode onto the board here for Norway. Scooping up several, Ico finding some here with the Genji, the double dash through, takes him down. The turret will fall here for Pandarin, or the mech will fall for Pandarin. Turret about to go down here at the end. Well, and that should just be the first cap coming through for Norway very swiftly. Give them, you know, just about 7 minutes on the clock.
It's pretty rare to see the turret be the last part of the deaths.
That's
on
very
the side.
true. It's usually like very swift.
And I think that part of the problem was they chose a location to defend where the protection from Orisa was only there for the turret. There was a lot of AoE damage that can be done for Decod there in that choke point, and they didn't need to kill the turret first, they just killed everybody else. Pretty basic there. And now they're looking for the second cap. They've got a lot of ults available here.
Well, that is going to be one of them. The Molten Core here from Mix does get thrown down, trying to buy a little bit of time, but it loses out on all of his team members here yet again. So Mix is going to go ahead and have to kite back over to the spawn to get topped up. Now Ico up onto the high ground, has the Dragon Blade ready to go, but doesn't have to use it. And that first stick is already coming through here for Norway.
Oh,
looking
man.
for a bit more, nearly half the second. You can see Decod does go down.
Sound barrier here. It looks like almost a ceremony. Here's the Dragon Blade. Eco doesn't have much shielding with this.
Yeah, but he's still going to be cutting away. Gets that mech gone. Dashes through. Finds Mango yet again. And you can see that should just be it. Just about here. Final contention will come through from Jazzy and Mix. The Nano Lucio coming through. Move out of the way, boys. Those boops got some real damage to him, but Mix's life, he's not long for this world. He is desperately trying to keep himself topped up. Has to kite back. There's no health pack available, so he will get cut down in the end by Decod going forward. But it has delayed the cap so far from Norway. Drains out a little bit more time on that clock, but there's still over 5 minutes.
Definitely some sloppy ult uses on the side of Norway. I think perhaps ceremony, an early ceremony for them, but this is still a continued push for them. Really good biotic grenade here, but it may just not matter. Vision holding on to that pulse bomb.
He's trying to get rid of this Primal Rage first. Will kite back, picks up that health pack, and the hold does come through here for Hong Kong, so it does buy them a little bit more time where it seemed like they were doomed, and Vision just gonna go forward, lets himself die. Well, plenty of time on the clock, still have, you know, a smattering of ultimates available here for Norway in the second tick, so getting a cap might not be that difficult from them.
True.
But Hong Kong for now will hold.
The true hero is the Nano boost on the Lucio there, and that's what allowed them to hold, right? We gotta give full credit, but God, I feel like Norway looks so terrifying right now. I feel like they celebrated early on that last push. That was setting up for the big six, the 6 ultimate push. IPN very far away from a Transcends. He feels like the Tracer killer with this triple DPS. Perhaps you could almost call it quad DPS, or how many times he's been able to track down whichever Tracer he's up against with the swaps coming off here for Hong Kong. But he's just looking dominant.
Oh, Mango going low, forces out the recall, has the dash back, keeps himself alive. In the meantime, self-destruct will come through. Not gonna find anything so far, but the attack visors there from Onigod, and that could do some serious work. But the defense matrix is there. Pulse bomb coming down, not gonna find a stick, but they still are able to follow up and take down IPN in the end. Moo gets taken out by that Jack Visor, and now the kills yet again coming through here for Norway as the rest of the team, everybody just focusing in onto that choke, onto that Jack Visor. The rest of the team just goes forward. They find all these kills, but Jazzy comes up with the double. Biotic Grenade takes out Decod, and Vision goes down as well. But still, it's very close to the cap coming through for the side of Norway. Ico with that Dragon Blade comes up with 2 kills already, just dashing his way to victory, but will get jumped on, will go down in the end. And it seems like yet again, Hong Kong will be able to maintain control. And this is what we're talking about, the difficulty of of capping this final point.
Yeah, and again, it just feels like some of what we're seeing from Norway is very scrappy. IPN didn't have the Transcendence there, which would have definitely made that fight a lot easier. And sure, Onigod did a ton because Decod really helped them out, but they don't have the Diva with this triple DPS composition, so can't have that extra protection. Trobe didn't have his sound barrier, and it felt like they were a little bit impatient and wait for the 6 to go in, and it was a little bit split up. Hong Kong always having a better position on defense here with that high ground.
Yeah, we can hear that's going to be the nano boost coming through. Haven't really spotted who is going to be on it. Will be, in fact, onto Hyper, who does have a Primal Rage ready to go, but for now, just going to be zapping away. Trying to come up with a couple kills. It seems like they will go ahead and dissuade Norway from coming in for now, as Pandaren does get knocked out of the mech, but Decod will fall as Mix of all people does come up with that one. Now Envision going low, forces Mango out with a recall. He's going to push forward, looking for a bit of healing perhaps from his teammates, trying to get that kill in the Tracer battle, but now getting jumped on. Throws at the pulse bomb, tries to get the fadeaway turnaround in onto Hyper, but he will whip that one out. So not going to be finding any kills with that. But in the meantime, Transcendence thrown down here from IPN. They try to stick in onto this fight, trying to get this final cap because the clock has been drained considerably.
Yeah, they already have
this
2
side
ticks.
of Hong Kong.
They already have 2 ticks, so it's not that difficult to grab, but they just need to get consistent kills, something they haven't been able to do yet. There's the pick on the Hyper. That's going to be a huge time buyer lost.
A nice one coming through here. Pandaren yet again knocked out of the mech, so that's going to be the tanky front line from Hong Kong nullified as he desperately tries to get back into the mech, but he's just going to get cut down on the backside of the fight. Stroke comes up with that kill, just zipping away with those left clicks, comes up to this one, but now 2 minutes still on the clock, and Norway haven't really gained much ground. A few respawns coming through from them. Envision does finish off Hyper, but very much are being stopped here at point B.
And part of the reason why this is so difficult is because the defender always has the shorter run back, and Hong Kong is going to have the high ground set up to drop down every time with how this map works. Yeah, Pandaren up here already showcasing why. Just up there, able to drop down. It's difficult to stop the to stop the drop down. There's nothing you can do as the attacker. The defender always has that extra advantage. So you need to get a massive amount of kills and carry that momentum. And Hong Kong has the ult advantage still. So Norway, that time is ticking down.
Well, now it's an nano boost in onto the Dragon Blade. Moog pushing forward, looking for some kills, trying to get in onto the support members. Can't quite find it though. Has to go ahead and sheath it, but still just chucking out these shurikens, trying to find some poke out kills. If not, just finish off IPN. Does have those shields coming through, does get topped off. In the meantime, both the tanks going down yet again for the side of Hong Kong, but is it going to be able to be capitalized on is the question. With Envision going down, perhaps the answer is going to be no yet again. Move still firing away into this one. Will get taken down. The zaps coming through, and Onigod finds the hits. Cap is still being contested, so Norway still struggling, and there's just a minute left on the clock at this point. They've been drained down so much. Onigod going to fall as Hyper goes forward, smacks him down with the melee hits. Just an all-out brawl in onto the point. They will finally get it in the end. Hong Kong not quite paying attention closely enough to get that, to keep that in contention. So the cap does come through, but 56 seconds, all that was remaining for Norway at the end.
And I feel like what to take away from this particular map, or this round I should really say, is that this is the 6-man lineup I want to see. I want to see Jazzy on the Ana. The Ana play we saw from Jazzy was really good. Mu on the Genji. This looks to be the stronger composition, with Hyper actually showcasing his Winston skills there. So this is the 6-man roster I want to see for most of the rest of this map, and then of course going into our escort map. And for Norway, they just couldn't have a solid 6-man ult push there. They kept desyncing the ultimates, and we saw IPN so many times actually building up that Transcendence. He had Transcendence so consistently, so I feel like they tried to make a play every time he had it, but there just weren't other ultimates to use. And of course, on this map, you're attacking to this high ground scaffolding that's there on point B, and it's so difficult to get consistent picks with that long run back, and they've got the high ground advantage, and we just saw resets over and over there on the side of Hong Kong. But this 6-man roster with these particular heroes is really what I want to see.
Yeah, and we'll see if they're going to stick to that one as we get ready to flip back in, as they will be moving over to the attack. But still very scrappy so far from both of these squads. This is kind of what we were expecting. Norway definitely showing their sloppiest play, I guess, so far.
Sure, and
compared to the first 2 maps.
It wasn't that sloppy, but it was definitely, as I said before, I feel like celebrating early, lack of cohesion with the ultimate usage, and they were much more aggressive, less conservative with their ult usage in that last point. But now we're going to see Mango switching over to the Reaper off of the Tracer, but the rest of the roster seems to be mostly the same, and I think this is how Hong Kong should be running this 6-man team. Sure, the Tracer's gone, but the Reaper does grant a lot of value on this map, as we saw already in our first series.
No signs of any more Widowmakers yet here for Horizon, but we're up onto this high ground so far. As we will see the jump coming through, Decod going forward, looking for somebody to zap, but doesn't want to go toe-to-toe with Mango. Does have to fear those shotgun blasts, so goes ahead, drops back down to keep himself alive as Norway tries to go ahead and get another full hold here for themselves. Already have the one on King's Row. They can follow up with another one that would definitely turn around that performance from their attack. Some sloppiness there at the end, but for now, we'll be holding firmly. The cap starting to come through here for the side of Hong Kong. Will be halted right before that first tick and will fall. So a nice and very crucial opening pick coming through from the side of Norway. They'll get rid of Pandaren as well. And you have to expect that Hong Kong is likely going to be attempting to peel back and get themselves regrouped for this one. But Mango does go through, finds a couple kills, gets rid of that baby diva, but will fall in the end as Onigod scoops that one up. So a nice little push forward here. Hong Kong now building up for these ultimates. They have several people that are very close, but still don't get that first tick, which was going to be, a very nice takeaway from that stop the push.
They bought a lot of ult percentage, so the next push is going to be the scarier one. And Mango, of course, survived throughout all of that for so long. Imagine what he could do if he had peeling coming in from Hyper there and perhaps some support ultimates with him. The Death Blossom is going to be a big factor with this next push, so if he builds it first, Onigod might pick him up before he gets there. Very close to the pickoff.
Yeah, nearly has this one. In the meantime, Decod going to go forward, has this nano boost on him, and he's just zapping away, finds the kill in onto Pandaren, follows up with one onto Moo, and Hyper will go down as well. So just like that, 5 members of Hong Kong will fall. Jazzy, the only one who almost made it out, will get booped in the end by Aiko. So the team kill completed. And we're now down to about 2 minutes here on the clock for Hong Kong. So like I said, yet again, Norway looking for that full hold here on Horizon. Have 4 ultimates ready to go. Envision will be able to build up for a pulse bomb very rapidly.
Yeah,
but it's to the 5 of Hong Kong at the moment.
Exactly. Hong Kong gonna have 6 soon too. The idea should be to try to bait out IPN's Transcendence, then try to use the Death Blossom, but they're always hunting down the Reaper here. Mango gets low again, does survive for the time being, but the coordination, you can really see it on Norway. Here we go, this is their opportunity. Sound barrier already used.
Yeah, it does get dropped in here. Hyper not gonna be receiving that one. In the meantime, self-destruct will come through. Doesn't find any picks so far. Actually gets the one onto Envision. A bit of a poor placement there from the Tracer. Couldn't get himself out, and Moo with that Dragon Blade thrown out. Not going to find anything really for it. Does get cut down. He'll get zapped to death from the side of Decod as they leap in onto the point, trying to keep this one in contention. And you can see Hong Kong yet again. They pour everything into that assault, and it just gets stomped out. Norway do have to answer with a couple of their own ultimates. Primal Rage, for instance, there from Decod, but they very much come out on top of that.
Everything looked like it was going to be as it should have. When they baited out the Transcendence, I was hyped. I got excited. I thought maybe they're going to wait that out, play a little bit more defensively, but they threw everything into the Transcendence. Everything, the Death Blossom, the Dragon Blade, and IPN was just the hero floating in the sky, and now they have very few tools to retake. It's going to take a miracle here for them to take it now.
You can see that nano boost coming through here. Decod going to go drop in, looking for another Primal Rage to get build up for it. There's on the bubble, trying to keep himself alive. Will go ahead and get the pop out onto Mix's mech, and he is going to fall right off the bat. Pandaren going down as well, as Norway yet again just cleans up house. Hyper's going to die for that extra painful stagger, and they'll go ahead and get Mango as well. So just solid defensive play coming through from Norway, playing as a unit, something that they lacked on that final point of attack.
Yeah,
and now Hong Kong, their backs are about as far up against the wall as they could possibly be. 15 seconds remaining with just a Death Blossom.
They're going to have the Death Blossom. If they can make the fight last longer, they might have Primal Rage and the Dragon Blade. Sound barrier is pretty much out of the question. Can Mango make a play here? That's going to be the big story.
Pulse Bomb has already gotten rid of Mix. Mango going for it, has the Death Blossom ready to go, but you can see that defense matrix there. They'll try to deny. Does get Envision with it, but won't find anything else forced into the Wraith form with 32 HP remaining. Will get hounded down by Onigod. They'll just be coming around, trying to clean up onto the point, and Moo tries to draw out the Dragon Blade, will get killed in mid-cast. He goes down. That's the full hold in onto Horizon.
Yeah, and a pretty rare full hold on that first point on this map. First one usually taken very early on with a huge time bank. That's part of the reason why point A is so easy to take, right? So you have the time bank to work with point B, but Norway just showing that this 6-man roster works so well together. The coordination on ultimates, with the exception of a few of those on point B for the attack, way better, and IPN looks to be godlike, chasing down the Tracers. And for Hong Kong, again, it just feels like this team doesn't have that much practice together as a unit.
Yeah, Decod just finding everybody in tight quarters and zap them all to death, pick up that play of the game. Nicely done by him. But again, it seems like Hong Kong don't know what to do. They keep trying to change things up rather than trying to just run one comp that they're very comfortable with. They try to go for the Orisa and the Torbjorn start. It fails miserably at the start of that push, and yet again, they try to change things up. They try to move over to the Reaper, which is becoming more popular. He is buffed at the moment, but still not as widely as accepted as you might expect.
And with Envision consistently getting the picks onto the supports, doesn't have any ultimates to pair with that. You've got a Reaper and a Genji. They're both so ready for a support ultimate, just saying, please build that up. Do you have it ready? Do you have it ready? Constantly asking for those calls out. How much longer to that Sound Barrier? How much longer to that Transcendence? Well, IPN's already used 2. He hasn't used 1 yet. And as your Genji or a Reaper, you can't just blindly dive in and toss those out. You need support. You need to have the way to make that happen. And we saw consistently on the side of Norway, they were ready for the ults when they came in. The Transcendence usage tonight for IPN has been really, really good. And unfortunately for Hong Kong, they threw all their ultimates into it. On that one push where they finally had them all together, the Transcendence just kind of blocked everything, shut it all down. And it's experience here, I think, that we're seeing with this 6-man from Norway over what we've seen from Hong Kong. And I feel like at least they brought us to a different map, an unusual one on Horizon, and they also brought out the Torbjorns. You can see there's some strategies prepared, but mechanically, as Onigod said in his interview, it just feels like Norway is still one step ahead so far.
Yeah, I mean, Onigod also in that interview saying that we were just mechanically better, and they are really kind of putting that on display right now. So Norway looking like an unstoppable force, at least in this series. When they go up against, some tougher opposition, we'll see how they're going to fare. But for now, looking very strong to start things off on the day. A 4-0. Kind of inevitably in their grasp here. Just one more map ready to go. And unless Hong Kong can really surprise us and turn around these performances that we've seen so far, then it seems like they're not going to be able to pick up a map win here in their first day. It
just may end up being that's the case, Achilles, unfortunately. But, momentum is an important thing. This is not a best-of series. It's a 4-map set. But in this 4th set, they've already lost the 3. And they had dominant holds against them on King's Row, of course. Well, I wouldn't say that was dominant, right? But they got full held. They got full held then, of course, on Horizon. So mentality a little bit shaken for this team that hasn't played together as a 6-man on stage like this before. And Norway has more experience. So I think it's time to, in the short interim before we go into the next map, talk it out. What map do we want to bring in for Escort for this 4th one? Even though we're down in this series, every point matters going to the World Cup qualifiers here. So in this group, taking this point is very important. And I mean, I know these things are all obvious things that you look at when you look at, say, a bracket or looking at a group. But in terms of mentality for a team that has a lot of younger players, just going to make sure everyone's on the same page, nobody gets frustrated, and they hold strong as we go into this next map.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to do that. But I mean, already down to this 4th map, ready to go into the Escort side. And this just has to cause concern moving forward, in the rest of this tournament. What is their most comfortable map style? Because so far they haven't been able to pick up a single win. So maybe it's the Escort. Maybe that's where they can turn things around. But 1 out of 4 isn't great. And we can see, it looks like we're going to be moving over to Route 66.
Route 66 indeed will be our Escort map here. So going to see if they can make dive happen on this map, because that's going to be very important, and that is very much the meta right now. But taking over big Earls and getting through that is going to be the challenge. But hey, at least on this map, you go straight to the payload. There's no control point that Norway is going to be locking down and holding on to forever, because that's been the struggle here for Hong Kong, is just grabbing onto these points during contention, how much time Norway's been able to buy. Of course, contention still operates on the payload, but you know what I mean. This is definitely a map where at least that strength for Norway won't shine through as brightly, this map type in Escort.
Yeah, and this is also one where you kind of can change things up a little bit more, especially when you get down to, points you enter into the garage phase of things. Reinhardt's on defense, something that we very frequently see because of that tight chokehold style of play moving forward to that final point. So can change things up a little bit here throughout this map. Widowmaker sometimes on both attack and defense to start. The Sombra has also come through for us, as we have been casting Apex over in Korea.
Yeah.
So on that side of things, there's a lot of flexibility that you can put together here with your compositions. In Hong Kong, they've been showing a bit too much flexibility, but this might be the map that they can, finally display that well.
I really am liking Hyper on the Winston, though, not the Tracer. Preferring to see Jazzy on the Ana, where he's had some incredible biotic grenades, both to deny healing, but to heal his team, getting kills several times with the Ana, even killing Envision that one time. So this is the comp I'd like to see coming out here for Hong Kong, and they are looking to have a kind of a hidden side flank defense
they're
here.
playing up into the canyon, and nobody was spotting them out. No Sonic Arrow there available, but Norway seems like they're not too nonplussed by this one. Envision will fall as Mango picks up that kill with the Helix rockets, but they lose out immediately here on to Mix, and Moo has to dash back, already has that recall burned out, so works his way back around the corner to keep himself alive. So, like Hyper, will fall. Left out, and I think he actually left off the map by accident.
Yeah, and I think this is another, well, I think this is another one of the examples of, again, good preparation from Hong Kong. They showed why they picked the map. They had a strategy, they had an opening prepared. Unfortunately, again, Norway just kind of outclassed them when the attack hit. The execution wasn't as strong as the plan itself, but does give me hope that for the rest of this group, Hong Kong definitely has prepared a lot of strategies going into this one. And they're showing some of them here, but the idea at least is solid. Try to catch Norway off guard.
Onigod right now having sole possession over the gas station will be knocked off of that one, as I do say. The leap board comes through, but he has the attack visor out. Defense matrix forward from Mix to go ahead and chew up the majority of that damage. Got a little bit out, but overall will be denied. In the meantime, still just going to be a bit of a scrappy 1-for-1 here exchange. Onigod will get stuck, and he will go down. But still, the rest of his team is doing quite well to go ahead and try to maintain this push. Decon coming up that kill onto Jazzy, takes him down as the Transcendence comes through, keeping everybody else topped up on top of this payload as they try to just roll this into the station, get point A completed.
Yeah, it's going to be, it looks like a very quick capture here. They're going to go for one last contest.
Oh, the sound barrier
does come in, but it's matched.
Yeah, it does help keep them alive, at least for the moment here from the side of Hong Kong. Pulse Bomb out, does take out Hyper, so already one of the tanks going to go ahead and be nullified. Mix the only remaining one as they try to hold on to this. Payload pushing forward, just tagging in and out of contention at the moment, so Norway is still kind of inching this one along as Mix goes down, Pandaren falling as well, and that will just be the completion here on to A. So Norway, 4.5 minutes on the clock as they enter into the street space.
Someone get me a stat on how many Transcendence IPN has dropped in this series. Always has them at the right moments. His KDA incredible as well. How many picks he's been able to get on DPS is trying to flank him. Might even get into your head a little bit as a Tracer who keeps getting killed by the Zenyatta you are trying to flank. And the push continues here. A lot of ults used to get that checkpoint, but they're building them up quick again. Aiko already with the self-destruct.
I mean, it's just fantastic stuff coming through here from Norway. Everybody goes forward. They clean up multiple kills, getting rid of Jazzy, getting rid of Hyper, while the payload is getting ready to keep moving through the gateway. You have that bit of downtime, and they're coming up with those kills to just help stagger those respawns coming through from Hong Kong, keep them having to, play back around the corner, so they get so much free roam with this payload moving forward. Already going to be rounding the second to last corner. So a lot of time still on the clock for these guys, so it's just trucking along very smoothly. In the meantime, though, Jack Visor with a nano boost coming through here from Mango, firing away, but there's a defense matrix right in front of his face here from Aiko. Will be dropped in the end, so it does cut through that mech. The self-destruct comes down, will be zoning everybody back, and Aiko actually finishes off Hyper in the baby form.
His pilot mode gets the kill there.
So that's a bit of an embarrassing one there for Hyper. We won't talk about it anymore. Self-destruct answered out, not going to be finding anything, and Mix will die, and Norway just going to be looking to make record time here on Route 66 as they are right in front of point B already. A minute and a half, all that it took for the street space.
And when you look at how they've been able to do it, it's just unfortunate that they're never able to kill the back. They try to kill Onigod so many times and consistently fail. The protection coming out from Decon, from Aiko, it's so well done that when you see the flanks come in, that's when the DPSs die. Mango's dying when he's trying to get those flanks. Moo as well, using the attack visor. Mango drops it down, gets shut down by the Diva. Defensively, Norway just keeps this rolling.
I mean, Hyper just getting ripped apart here, and Vision just going to jump straight inside the bubble to try to finish him off. Sleep Dart not going to connect there from Jazzy, throws out the pulse bomb, but it was Mix available with the defense matrix to eat that one up, so no big bang coming through from Envision. He does trade one out onto the Ana, does die, but in the meantime, Decon here with the Primal Rage is just scooping up the support members, throwing them into the trash, and Norway just keep that payload moving.
Not just a magnificent beard for this Winston main here, as he is just doing so much work in these fights. Oni looking up for another attack visor, calls it out, in fact, in chat there, presses the Z key to let his teammates know. He's almost got another one ready. Nearly gets the solo kill into Mango, does get it here with Envision.
Yeah.
And this push is just rolling through. It's a train, it's a truck.
It really is, and now they're just looking for the finish here. IPN going forward with the Transcendence, chained straight into that sound barrier. They want to finish things off right here, right now. Attack visor out from Onigod, firing away, almost gets the kill in onto Pandaren, can't quite find it. Meantime, pulse bomb there from Moon, not going to come up with anything, but they are able to answer back several kills, and it seems like Norway will finally, for the first time, be halted 3 minutes, 9 seconds remaining just in front of point C. They will get killed, they will get stopped, but they have so much time to work with. Ultimates pretty sparse across both of these teams.
A lot of tools used here for Hong Kong, especially that tac visor for Mango, so that's going to be one that's missing. Onigod's been able to build it up so quickly, so consistently every time. Is actually looking for the 1v1 soldier v soldier across the map and has been winning that very, very well. They're showing good accuracy, good tracking here. They're looking to actually maybe drop him first as Decod's waiting for the call out, which target as he kind of back pushes this. And it is going to be Mango's the target. Decod finds him immediately and he's totally zoned off.
Yeah, just sends him all the way back. Biotic Grenade comes through, but he's not even concerned about that one as Mu is fallen. IPN gets traded out by Hyper, coming up with the kill, but the Primal Rage comes through, and Decod is just keeping everybody contained into that left side spawn, just wailing away at the doorway, keeping them zoned back. We'll be joining back in here onto the payload. Self-destruct thrown out here from the side of Mix. Doesn't come up with any picks. He will be able to get the remech coming through, but Mango has fallen yet again. The supports being targeted as Pandarin goes down. Sleep Dart in onto Decod. Can they finish him off is going to be the question, and it seems like the answer is yes. Mu has finally come up with that one, but it's still just these sparse few kills coming through from Hong Kong as they desperately try to hold on.
Well, this could be the end of it here. We do see the sound barrier come up. Looks like this is going to be one of their last attempts. They do shove off. Aiko actually nearly with that mech to come back here with a self-destruct. Doesn't quite have it, actually, it looks like. So they're going to have to reset up for another push. But have a lot of tools when they come back, including that self-destruct. But Onigod did use the tac visor, and time is ticking down here. 90 seconds left. Hong Kong going to have that nano boost, going to have another pulse bomb here. So when that next attack comes through, and that's a staggered respawn now onto Decod.
It's a very big one, so very nicely done there by Mu to go ahead, hound him down. He wanted to kind of stick around, wait for the rest of his squad, but the Tracer chases in deep, finds the kill. And now Onigod's actually going to be swapping over to the Zarya, so we're going to have the triple tank coming through with the solo DPS here from Envision. So a bit interesting here, but like I said, this is one of those maps where you can kind of change things up. Onigod, if you can just find everybody clumped up into the choke, throws down a Graviton Surge once he has it available, could help them clean house with the likes of that self-destruct, go for that bigger bang.
And this could actually really empower Decod as well when he dives in. Envision, if he gets to a shaky spot up there, trying to go into the back lines, that's going to be the extra protection they have. Unfortunately, hasn't been able to build up much of that Graviton Surge yet, and with only 40 seconds on the clock, feels like a bit of an interesting swap here, as I'm not entirely sure if he'll ever be able to have it. It's going to take a long battle here with 30 seconds now left to actually gain that. Decod's looking to start it. They're going to dive in here onto the back lines. Transcendence is already popped for IPN.
Yeah, throw down, just trying to nullify this nano visor coming through, and Mango won't be able to pick up anything with it. In the meantime, sound barrier coming through here from Norway, and the first kill is going to be Pandarin going down, now chasing Jazzy all the way back into the spawn. IPN does fall off screen, but Mu dies right after he tosses that pulse bomb. Norway still coming up the kills, rolling it into the station. Can this just be the completion? Can anybody tag it here from the side of Hong Kong? The answer is going to be no. Contained yet again into the corner by Decod, coming up with that Primal Rage.
I mean,
and that means that they do get the completion, but very, you have to say props, kudos to the side of Hong Kong for buying that much time off of what originally was a massive time bank for Norway.
Absolutely. But, Decod, I felt like he was the jailer of Hong Kong. He kept them in the spawn, whether it was left side or right side. Always was the first to come in. And with the extra shielding from the Zarya, that was really the main thing Zarya did for the majority of that early part with the pick there for Onigod. He was able to go deeper, go harder, and there just wasn't any production for the backline when we saw Decod fly in with that Winston without the Primal Rage, just doing a lot of extra damage, forcing those squishy members, usually the supports, into the backline. Containing Mango there on the soldier at the early part of that push so well. And when you watch Onigod versus Mango, he was able to find him a lot of the time, force him back, force him away. Then once he went back off to heal, get the supports, that's when we saw Decod comes in, pushes them back into the spawn. So really good synergy here on the side of Norway. But as you said, the time bank not as solid as they would have liked.
Yeah. So a very poor finish by comparison of that King's Row. 5.8 seconds is all that Norway had, despite the pretty stompy streets phase that initial cap on point A, but does get drained out. The garage can be a bit difficult to break through, but now it's down to the defense here, which is something that Norway has been great at so far in these sets. The double full hold coming through from them on Horizon, on King's Row. Can they do it for a third time now on Route 66?
That's the big question, and I guess it seems like the big question, but so far with how well they've played in this 4-game set, not a big question necessarily. Hong Kong, their backs against the wall here. They need the completion on this map. They've got a large opportunity if they have the run of their lives here to have a better time bank than 5.8 seconds. Hyper going to be switching back over the Winston. We didn't think we were going to be really seeing that Orisa, but it is going to actually be Wu on the Sombra, looking for the health pack approach here, hacking it to try to get EMPs to break this high ground. An interesting approach, not the most common, but we have seen it before.
And just takes a short hop back there, picks it up to keep himself topped off. Now throwing the translocator a bit deeper in, will get the health pack inside the gas station. So, going to be very useful for his squad if they can move up to that point. Vision duking it out here with Mango, has to go ahead and abandon this.
Did have to use the recall, but gets the biotic grenade immediately. The health packs are going to be doubly useful if they actually get this push through very early, because it's going to be less for Norway to heal, more for them to heal as they round this corner.
I mean, they're double 200s, which is pretty fantastic here for their side. But they need to get in a position where they can, go bounce back and forth and use either or. At the moment, Payload is moving up slowly and steadily. We see that EMP does get dropped down here by Mu. Still getting jumped on, picks up the health pack right at the last second to keep himself alive. Comes back with the translocator, he'll be fine. But in the meantime, Envision has the double pulse bomb coming through, fights both support members. And Norway will start cleaning up these kills, much like we've seen from them on the previous maps. They will finally hold Hong Kong. Was looking a bit good there for Mu specifically.
Yeah.
But the rest of the team just falls to the pressure of Norway.
And unfortunately, we're not going to have any other ults to pair with the EMP, at least initially. Sorry, they're going to have the ults, but not the EMP to pair with them for this next attack, unfortunately. Hyper, maybe the first fall, does finally get that Primal Rage here. He's going to drop it for survivability. Attack Visor comes down.
He's trying to clear things off the top of Big Girls. Will be successful in that endeavor, but the sound barrier comes through. Still a couple kills picked up here for the side of Hong Kong, but answered yet again by Onigod, who now has that attack visor ready to go, firing away, trying to get the kill in onto Pandarin. I can't quite find it. There's a Diva sticking to him like glue, ensuring that the defense matrix is there to mitigate so much of that damage that would otherwise be coming through. Now Mango getting left on, and Vision has to be forced out with a recall. Still rather low, kites back around. Keep himself alive. We'll be able to get that health pack as it does respawn. But for now, it seems like a bit of a stalemate as Envision just pokes in, tries to build up for another pulse bomb, but Hong Kong still struggle to get back to this payload.
Yes, burning down that time bank now, as Envision is just so uncontested. The only person who's really given him a challenge has been Mango when he fights him 1v1, but when he finds anybody else, just no protection for the backline yet again. Last time it was, of course, Decod. This time it's Envision who's getting the kills. Mid-air, looking to pick off this Sombra.
Yeah, Boop's not going to be taking him down. They almost get Mu, doesn't quite get that kill, and he does have an EMP ready to go, but they need to be able to capitalize on it, because the first one, barely anybody was in position to try to get those kills with the EMP being dropped.
I'd like to see them wait for either the tac buys or at least the self-destruct before popping it, but they don't. They pop it down right away, trying to get Decod.
Yeah, they only get Decod with that one. They will be able to take him out, but is it going to be enough? See Aiko, the Baby Diva form, trying to get back into the back. Perhaps as Envision is just wreaking havoc on the back line, jumping on top of Panda, and yet again, now another attack visor is out here from Onigod. Leaping in, trying to find Jazzy, but the bubble is there to cut off the bullet spray. He will fall in the end as Envision goes forward with the Tracer, takes him out, and still it's going to be Norway maintaining control. Mix dying mid-air, but comes up with the double kill.
He got greedy there.
Worth it, you'd have to say. Onigod trying to finish him off before he got around the corner. Will get punished for that one.
He got the kill, but he didn't survive. Would have been more impressive had he gotten out of there, but still, you got to appreciate the accuracy. Either way, it's looking like Hong Kong's bringing the fire here. They're just going to look to close out this checkpoint. No one nearby. Decod does have that Primal Rage, but just doesn't look like he's nearby enough to go for the contest.
Well, Envision's going to be dropping in here. The EMP comes down immediately, so he can't get out of there. He's just going to fall. But the contention now coming through as Aiko rejoins in with the rest of the squad.
Well, they shouldn't have doubted Norway. They're going to try to contest this. They had such a great contest on King's Row.
Well, it's still going to be a bit of a rough one, and the completion should be there. There we go. Rolls into the station right just about the last second. 2 minutes 30 on the clock.
But you can see what they wanted to do. Decod wasn't quite in position, but they wanted to have Envision by the time there to have Decod coming. And if Envision had survived, then suddenly it's Envision and Decod. The rest of the team has time to get over. But what you have to appreciate is Norway didn't use a single ultimate there. They waited, they gauged the situation, sending the delays in with the Tracer, then the Winston. And when they figured out very quickly, this just isn't going to work, they backed off. They saved their ults. And Aiko's now on the Genji, looking to build up that Dragon Blade. Everyone else pretty much topped off.
Yeah, Decod though does go down very early into that one as Mu finds a double kill, takes out Envision as well. And the payload right now moving relatively unhindered from the side of Hong Kong, so in a good spot as trouble. He's just gonna, you know, kind of mess up that wall ride. Doesn't make it onto the high ground, so has to take the long way around.
Styling a little bit there for the crowd, though. The crowd did give some oohs and ahs. He was highest upvoted there at the play of the game, last game. The results screen. Okay, move nearly with that EMP, looking for it here in the back lines. It's
looking
going to
be the hack.
Yeah, he doesn't have it yet. Now he's got the EMP available.
Yeah, ready to go, but Dikad does make it into that primal rage. Sound barrier comes down here from Norway as they want to hold it right here. A minute 20 remaining on the clock, but Dikad's still going to be the first one to go down. Now Transcendence out from the side of Jazzy to keep everybody topped off. And it seems like it's going to be working out relatively well here for the side of Hong Kong as they scoop up these kills, and Vision and Trump both going down. Pandarin does get answered for it, but with IPN, Aiko, and Onigod all going down, it's going to be a very delayed team kill. And should be the completion. Now Hong Kong kind of turning up the heat, putting their foot on the gas.
This is the
able to roll their way in. And 2 minutes 25 seconds with only 5 remaining for Norway is very doable to match.
Absolutely. This is the Hong Kong we've been waiting to see. Onigod switching back over the Zarya here. Very powerful at this end point of course, Route 66. But the coordination, the patience on the EMP, going to pick off Dikad first and find a way to capitalize there. The EMP was the cutoff of the retreat to stagger those respawns. So they're getting very, very dangerously close now to completing this with a better time bank. Just waiting for that second EMP. Envision picked off already. This could be a huge opportunity.
Not a fantastic way to start things off at all. And Dikad's going to go down as well. Mango starting to pop up here with the Soldier 76 trope going forward, trying to buy some time. But he is going to die, and it's just one after the other. Norway goes in, and they all get punished for it. Onigod falling has only accrued 24% on that Zarya ultimate. You can see Dikad actually feeling the pressure. Will be swapping over to the Reinhardt.
Yeah, swapping over here. Wants to have some charges now. Moo just doing so much extra damage, even waiting here on the high ground of the platform to try to get some nice hacks off. Gonna go for Dikad first. Stops him with the shield there. Sick hack there. Ryan gonna be focused down now. He's taken out by Pandarin.
And he's just gonna fall.
EMP. EMP very close here. Mango uncontested.
Well, Aiko's going to draw out that Dragon Blade, looking for a couple picks, finds one onto Mango, but everybody just turns around, sees the Genji, and they come out, and now it's just 2.46 meters right in front of the point. Nano Boost used it onto Onigod, but he's got no HP left. He's going to get finished off, and now Transcendence down onto the point as Dikad rejoins desperately, trying to keep this in contention, but he's got that Discord up, so has to be careful. Swinging away wildly with the hammer, will lose IPN off screen, and Vision yet again going down, and the sound barrier comes through through here from Hong Kong as they try to finish this one out. Trove falling yet again, and it seems like they might have just done it. 0.05 meters. There you go. They got it in the end, and Hong Kong finally show up in this series.
That's right. They are showing up. They're Shows of Fire showing light in this series. It's not over yet. Until that fourth game ends, it is not over. Now they've got the better time bank. 1:39 to the 1 minute left. Now on the side of Norway. And it was good coordination we're finally seeing. And it seems to be the missing link was the Sombra play. The EMPs, the hacks, the positioning. Stopping Dikad in his tracks there behind. Getting those Reinhardt shields down. Onigod going all in on the Zarya twice. Second time, he was at the very end there with the Graviton Surge available only at the end. And unfortunately, weren't able to use it. He wasn't able to use it there onto the point because there was no one else with him. And finally, Norway has shut down. Finally, Norway not able to use their time-buying tactics there. We saw them try to stop that checkpoint. They were patient there, but Hong Kong looks to be really good with the Sombra. And so far, with what we're seeing already going into this overtime round, they are going to keep it. So very happy with this so far. And Mango as well, stepping it up. They're targeting down Dikad in these fights. And when he's down, that's when Mango shines.
I mean, the most important thing there from Hong Kong was that they actually showed Norway can be flustered. They seemed like they didn't know what to do, having the swap over onto the Zarya from Onigod. Dikad moving off the Winston, which he has been crushing with so far, forced onto the Reinhardt, and it just falls apart for them. So a bit of desperation and, you know, weakness shown there from Norway for, you know, pretty much the first time. There has been that scrappiness, that sloppiness aspect to it, but that was where it seemed like they just didn't know what to do to come up with a victory, and they don't have that hold. But now back over onto the attack here with 42 seconds remaining. Norway going to be looking to create as much distance as humanly possible with this payload, and Vision looking forward doesn't, you know, can't get that health pack. It is hacked out, so has to just get that Orb of Harmony to keep himself topped off.
Yeah, it's so important with so little time to work with here. The health pack's just not going to be available for Norway. And Moo unable to find the pick there, but it will be Hyper that takes Envision out in the end, so Tracer already gone.
I mean, the payload's being contested right now, and it's 15 seconds remaining. Norway have not moved this up very much. And Hong Kong look to be in a very strong position at the moment. Decod forced back, has to leap his way out to safety.
Oh, Aiko's going to go down here, too.
They're going to go ahead. They're going to get rid of Aiko right at the crucial moment as they get ready to go into overtime. EMP dropping as well from the side of Moo, and they are just looking to end this right here. Overtime ticking through as they try to keep this one in contention. Norway will just get torn apart. It's all down to Envision. Gets the recall off the dash back in. He's going to die. Can they tag it in time is going to be the question. I don't think they can. Hong Kong holding right around the first corner. And Norway feeling the heat for the first time in this series.
Oh, for sure. And when you don't have that much time to work with, health packs are hacked. That hurts the play of aggressive players like Decod, players like Envision. They're looking to go in for the flanks. They go in, those no health packs to take when they're looking around for those health, especially Envision, right? The hacks are coming in, reducing their mobility. But it was really just Mango, actually, who did the majority of the damage in that fight. And it was the Winston and the D.Va that was pushed away that allowed him to just do free damage. Every time the camera was on the first-person view of Mango, he was just blowing people up left and right. And it's very panicky. It's very frustrating when you're Norway in this situation where you don't have a large time bank to work with. But they could still very well pull out the hold here. It's not over till it's over.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things we do have to consider, especially with these first matches from these teams, I mean, you know, they are so very important wanting to get these maps, but one of the things you have to consider is perhaps, you know, the land jitters that come through. It's the first time that a lot of these teams have ever played together on a stage. Obviously, you have the likes of Rogue, who has been a unit for a while, had their, you know, entire LAN debut in Apex Season 3 with Nico being put onto the roster. But, for Hong Kong, coming out here, still a lot of pressure. You want to impress, you want to find those victories for your home country. So that's a lot of pressure that you kind of have to break through. And it seems like they finally are doing it here in Game 4.
And the crowd is with them in this Game 4. They're with the underdog. We'll see if they can close this one out now. A short distance to push, a minute and a half on the clock. See if Mango can repeat that performance. It's going to be about the defense of the tanks. Moose sticking with the Sombra, the comfort pick here. Been looking so good on Route 66.
I mean, yet again, he's got great access on that health pack, 200 HP there in the canyon to keep everybody topped off if they have to peel back. Hong Kong trying to move things up here at the start, rounding that first corner slowly yet surely. As Norway tries to keep this one in contention. Decod going forward, gets chunked out, has to kite back with the rest of his squad, but Mango is still just going to go ahead and cut him down, just firing away into the ranks of Norway. Finds that kill onto the tank, but they will lose that onto Jazzy. So Hong Kong just kiting back for a moment, keeping themselves safe,
so close.
Not looking to lose anybody else, waiting for that respawn on the very slow Zenyatta as he looks to rejoin the squad.
The EMP could be all they need to make this happen. They're holding on to it now. It could be their way in. Here it comes.
They drop this one down. Mango going to be pushing forward. Nearly has attack visor available, but doesn't have it to couple up with it yet. Aiko going to be knocked out of the mech as Decod goes forward yet again. Will be getting targeted out. Aiko still hasn't fallen, but now the pulse bomb comes through and Jazzy's going to get taken out as Envision finds the kill. Self-destruct will be thrown into the backside, looking for something. Comes up with a double kill! Mix just taking down IPN. Only God falling as well, and I think Hong Kong might just have done it. They are ripping it through Norway, looking to complete this push. Envision doing his damnedest to stop that from happening, but he will go down in the end.
That's gonna be it.
Hong Kong, in the end, in Game 4, are able to pick up a win, will not go down 0-4. They put a point on the board for themselves.
And this is so important for them going into the rest of the group too, with the cards stacked against them, down 0-3 to take Route 66, find their comfort picks here, really find finally the sixth man that's working for them. This was it. This is what they needed. And sure, Norway still is going to walk away with 3, but I mean, this man is the MVP.
Absolutely. What a surprise move. Not looking, consistent on most of his other picks, but comes in here with his Sombra and absolutely kills Norway with it. Fantastically done. Great target selection for the hacks, constantly getting those health packs as well for his team. So really great stuff from Moo.
And he shut down the plays we saw from aggressive Envision, aggressive Decod that dominated and really limited the effect of IPN as well. So Hong Kong takes game number 4. The series will finish with a 1-3, but at least they put 1 point on the scoreboard here. And in dominant fashion there at the end of Route 66. They got to feel good about this one.
Yeah, well, in the post-match vote, everybody gave their vote over to Moo, had the legendary 10+ vote there from everybody. So still going to be great sportsmanship overall. Norway recognizing just how well he did against them in that last map in particular. But handshakes will be exchanged, so just fantastic performances here from both of these guys. Hong Kong finally finding some ground to stand on there in Game 4.
You talk about stage shitters, you talk about, you know, working together for the first time with a 6-man roster. This win, had it been a 4-0, perhaps they feel a little bit demotivated into the next match, but taking that last win changes everything for this team, and I feel like they're definitely going to go into the next match with this extra little speck, but it's very important, of momentum.
Yeah, really great stuff here from both of these teams. Norway, one of the ones we're going to have to watch as they move deeper into this tournament, because still had some very strong showings, but Hong Kong showing some signs of life at the end there as well. So fantastic from both of these guys. In the meantime, we're going to be throwing over to a break. When we come back, we'll be back over to the desk to break down those those final 2 games.
The 2017 Overwatch World Cup is brought to you by Omen by HP, T-Mobile, Union Pay, and Blizzard Entertainment.
Welcome back here to the desk of the 2017 Overwatch World Cup. And Hong Kong showing some life at the end of that match set. Being able to pull off the victory on Route 66, huge boost of confidence for this team. But for Norway, though, still looked very dominant, Zoe.
Absolutely. I mean, they looked practically unstoppable for the majority of this series, and only on their defend part, in the second half on the Horizon, they fell apart a little bit. Maybe they were overconfident. They didn't really sync up their ults as good as they did before. So they were just not as focused, it seemed, not as well coordinated. But they got it back together and took Horizon for themselves. However, now on Route 66, that Sombra really threw them off. And this is not the first time we're seeing that the Sombra really dismantles a dive comp like that. This was a prime example of just that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked to so many of the teams, and they would talk about their flex support player, and he would say, well, I played Zen and Ana, maybe Sombra, but you probably won't see me play that. And now we see Hong Kong pull it out, very successful against a team that should be prepared, that should know their way around it. So great execution by Hong Kong.
I do have to mention, though, that prior to this match, talking to the team, they did say that they themselves don't like playing Sombra. And they also are not fans of her in general, so I think they were actually worried about people pulling her off.
Oh, that's great. Well, Hong Kong was able to pick up on that, and not only did Mui do well, I do want to shout out also Mango on 76 and Jazzy on Ana. When they were able to put their ults together, that represented every movement that team was able to make pre-Sombra.
What about for you, Flame? What are some of your takeaways, especially as we get ready to check out the highlights of that Horizon map?
I think Hong Kong had a really good showing at the end. I think that it kind of told them what they should be doing going forward. I think that this was kind of a learning experience for them in particular. They didn't really feel like they knew or they had a plan up until that point. And it also exposed a little bit of weakness from Norway. Horizon didn't look that convincing from them, to be quite honest. And then them losing Route 66 also, it was more or less like we found a hole in this Norway squad. They started off really strong, but they did not finish as strong as they started.
Yeah, that I think to me was also a very interesting thing about Horizon, was that it felt like the Hong Kong team were just trying to throw some strats out there to throw them off. I mean, I think there was a start where they had an Arissa Torborn combo in the back there.
Yeah.
You know, just trying out some new stuff here to see if it'll work out. Works out. No one really knows Horizon, right? Everyone's like trying to get used to it, trying to adapt to it, and it's just challenging, Flame, for you know, for any team really at this point. And you're starting to see Horizon 100% pick rate here at map number 3. When you need something, just throw that out there because you never know, it may give you a victory.
Well, it is the loser's pick at the end of the day. So if you are a team that maybe feels like you're against the wall, why not try Horizon? If you can pull off that win, it's really good for your points and your scoring. So it's kind of in a position where I feel like it will start getting picked more and more as this tournament goes on. But it's, again, I do think that this was a very good tell for Hong Kong. I don't think that they feel terrible after that. I think that they finally realized, oh, maybe we should just keep our players on these heroes. Maybe we should keep Mango on the 76. Maybe we should keep Mue on the Sombra and just see where that takes us.
Yeah.
Because that was definitely the strongest showing that they've had so far.
And let's talk about Route 66 now, because for me, it's really nice to see a Sombra picked not for the ult, but for the hacking ability, right? That was the cool part. You saw the switch happen. They weren't, because that was the first time DCOT had switched to Reinhardt, so they didn't know that Reinhardt was coming out. But as soon as Mui saw that Reinhardt was like, oh, that's a freebie, went right for the hack, had no idea that this was going to happen, and just completely nullified any opportunity that DCOT had on that Reinhardt.
Yeah, I mean, DCOT literally came out of the spawn room and Sombra already dropped down from behind and like got rid of that shield.
Unbelievable.
So, and I mean, we did see Onigot switching on to Zarya at the very end as well, but really to no avail. Even those tanks, they couldn't stop that.
Well, the Zarya switch on their attack was really smart.
That one was good.
That they were looking to give protection to DCOT because he was forcing everyone in the corner. So Hong Kong Seltzer just could not get out of that one, but they were able to switch it up though in their attack.
Well, and that's what I thought was so cool about Mui when we were watching him play Sombra, is he was never not active, right? Constantly hacking every health pack, and that was part of the success of Norway, is that they knew where the health packs were. They were constantly peeling, falling back, getting healing from other sources besides their support, and once you took those health packs away, they really started to crumble on that back line.
I think we saw, though, that Norway's Tracer from Envision was actually just shutting them down. So bringing in that Sombra just gives that, it makes the Tracer play a little bit different, takes away the Tracer's packs. You're afraid of the hack at all times, and then suddenly it kind of enables your 76 because now D.Va doesn't have her Matrix up, maybe the Winston can't actually jump anymore, and it's just a very strong pick, especially when you're just looking at it from the fundamental hacking ability, forget the EMP.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of Route 66, the Tracer really was the one like pulling the game for Norway, because they had, Hong Kong had no way of defending their supports.
Yeah.
Like they were just like free fodder for the Tracer. So yeah, that's Sombra.
Yeah, and they continued to be. It was really all about the empowerment of the 76, whether it was from Sombra, whether it was from Ana, whether it was being protected by the D.Va. When Mango was able to get moving, you know, that's what moved the whole team forward.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights there as well from Route 66, because there was certainly plenty of highlights to be had. Again, got to talk about the Sombra plays, and we did talk about that in quite a bit of detail. Also, Envision getting shut down as well. Envision has been such a difference maker for this Norway team. Just really couldn't get anything going there as well. You saw Envision get picked off by Jazzy with the with his Zenyatta, and then Ico couldn't get anything there either. And then we had the reset because of the tie, and this is when I was really expecting to see that's when I was expecting to see some great plays here from our friends in Norway, and they just couldn't really put it together. Good job though from Hong Kong. They get 1 point, guys.
Yes, they did.
Well, Norway still got 3. Just
Well, you know what? I have to say, Hong Kong, you know, a lot of it is their emotion, their will to play, the joy that they're taking out of this. And if they lose the joy, I feel like they're going to lose a lot of that motivation to play as well and to keep their heads in the game. So I was happy to see them smiling at the end there, shaking hands with everybody. And there was also that manner play there, the full upvotes on Mui from both teams. I love that.
I think you just got to real recognize has to recognize real. You know what I mean? And that was that's what that was there. All right, so Flame, can this Hong Kong team, you know, really rally the troops and really get back into the thick of things at the World Cup?
I mean, that point was very important at the end of the day. We didn't stress enough, I guess, just how good that 1 point is in terms of scoring as this goes forward. But I think that they can put up fights against China. Sombra is very difficult to deal with if you're not really experienced with it. So for them to be able to pull that out and run it and execute it that well, I think it's going to start scaring the rest of the teams in the group. China in particular needs to be confident against that, or they might actually run into a very big problem in that Mui Sombra.
Yeah, we have highlights from the entire series as well, because there were certainly many highlights to be, especially that Kings Row game was great. You know, just the stagger and the disengages from D-Cobb there. Some stellar Winston play all together. Really, what I'm really happy about with Norway in particular was that this is a team came into the event. They know that not many people, not many of the other teams are really focused on them, and here they are, 3 points in. They're looking to move forward in this bracket.
Yeah, we did have some questions for Norway, right? Like they're from Scandinavia. Typically, we see a lot of great teams from Denmark, from Sweden, from Finland. We talked about this, and your question, Zoe, to them was, why isn't Norway always up there as well? And I thought their answer was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, they just said that they never. There is no big thing. There are no big like LAN parties like you have certain like big names in
there was
Sweden,
the gathering.
Right? There was the gathering and everything, but that kind of just stopped. So even though all the players in Norway are pro players, like that is their full-time job, still there is not so many opportunities for them in Norway to really make a name for themselves. There is no really big Norwegian teams out there like you have from Finland, from Sweden, etc. So they're always a bit in terms of the Scandinavian region. They're always a bit forgotten.
Yeah, well, I'm
but,
sure
they're here to show that Norway can take it too.
Yeah, I'm sure that will certainly change. All right, folks, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, though, we are going to continue on with the 2017 Overwatch World Cup. It will be France facing off against Argentina. We'll catch you guys in just a few.